you're going to hold your kids to a high standard, it requires you to be on the same level. So in order to up-level people around you that you love, you need to up-level yourself. You need to raise your standards because they're not going to do what you tell them to do. And so if you're not doing the thing that you want them to be, if you're not the person you want them to be, if you're not kind, caring, resilient, brave, courageous, whatever behaviors you want to instill in your kiddos, if you are not those things, they are not going to pick it up. You got to show examples and be the example. Be the thing you want them to be.
Hello, everyone. This is Ekaterina with Trust Me, Mom. And today, my guest is Mike Draper. Mike is a content creator, entrepreneur, a veteran, a former police officer, and most importantly, he is an amazing dad to his daughter, Ellie. Today, we would like to talk about what it takes to be a great parent and how we can raise our children and how we can take care of them, how we can spend more time with them, be more intentional, and intersperse maybe a little bit of humor. Mike, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat and see what we see where this goes and see if we can help somebody with whatever they got going on.
When I first discovered your content, I saw the video about advice you gave to your daughter about what boys not to date. And that was so powerful, so fun. I shared it with my family and wanted my daughter to see it as well. So can you share more about your journey? I know you have a really impressive background. So that journey from being in high school, where I think you shared a little bit online how you struggled in high school, then military, then police officer, and then eventually becoming an entrepreneur and content creator. So let's unpack it. Let's share your story.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I was not a great student in high school. My freshman year, I failed 9 out of 15 classes out of pure laziness. So sports kind of saved my life there. Freshman year, I had an injury on my shoulder, so I couldn't play sports. So I didn't really care about school or anything. So that's part of the reason why I failed, I think, 9 out of 15 classes. And then I was able to play sports, and you have to have a minimum grade point average to play. So that kind of kept me afloat above the 2.0 averages of C's across the board there. Barely graduated at the bottom 5% of my class as far as grade point average goes. I then joined the military about 8 or 9 months after I graduated high school. I got a tuition bill from my local community college for, I think it was like $940 for a fire science degree, like to start the process to get my degree. And I was like, that is way too much money. I'm just going to join the military instead. So it started off on the right foot, I think. I'm super grateful I did that. Joined the military. I was in the Air Force for just over 6 years. I was stationed in Texas for training, Nebraska for my first duty station, England for my next, and I did 6 months in Ethiopia for a tour there, and then came back to Oregon. On that 6-year journey, I had Ellie. She was born in England. I was married in there, and then had Ellie in England. Came back to Oregon. I finished my bachelor's in business and finance while serving in the Air Force, and then came home to Oregon, kind of the Portland metro area. Became a police officer nearby in one of the local cities here, right outside of Portland, and did that for about 5.5 years. I was on the SWAT team. I did all the experiences, all the stories, the foot chases, the vehicle pursuits, all the things, the ups and downs and all the things. Learned a lot, so much as a human, how humans interact, their motivations, their intentions, just a super fast life lesson, week 1 as a police officer. I remember every single story. It's really interesting. Very fun career, all the cliches you might hear. While doing that, I got divorced in the middle of that 5.5 years. Ellie was about 2.5. After that, I then got my MBA from the University of Washington. They have a hybrid program. You go up once a quarter for a week for 2 years, and you graduate. And at the end of that 2 years, during that time, everyone's asking, "Hey, what are you going to do after you graduate? What's next? What are you going to do?" And everyone that was in my class, they're amazing. And if you're listening to this, hello, text me back, guys. No, so no, I'm just teasing. There was a bunch of people who were in Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing, Nike, just a lot of these corporate positions or companies at least. And I was like the cop that was in the classroom, and they're like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Because I'm a cop." Hello, guys. trying to get out of it. Like, I love the job of being a police officer. I really do. I kind of miss it. But I also had done all the things I wanted to when I was in, right? Had done all the experiences. So the question came up as, well, how many times do I need to experience each of these things? I've checked all the boxes. Is this what I want to do for the next 25 plus years of my life? And the answer was no. And so, okay, let's find my priorities and let's go attack what I need to do to get there and hit the goals. So graduated, I became a loan officer, so mortgages for in real estate. And so immediately I needed to learn how to generate leads. I was in sales. I was commission based. And so I've went and kind of learned from the top people I could find and get close to and just observe the ones who I would admire who are doing it in a way that I appreciate and not, just the ones that I would follow kind of into battle in a sense, right? And so they were all on social media and I saw how they were doing it and what they were doing. I was like, oh, this is too obvious. Okay, I'll get on social media. I had been pretty much radio silent for 11 or 12 years on social media. I'm not posting where I'm at in the military or like the arrests I'm making as a police officer or the whatever for 11, 12 years of my life from 18 to 30. And so then I get on social media and this was February of 2021. So we're in the middle of COVID and that arena, and TikTok was like in full effect, full swing. And so I jump into social media in that time. And so it's all videos and reels. I think were just coming out on Instagram like a few months later or something. So it was still like real fresh. Short form video was just like the thing. I was like, okay, I'll just film videos. That's what the people are doing who are doing what I want to do. I'll just do what they do. It's just started that process. I then started getting a few videos that went viral. And I was like, this is interesting. Why does this video get, 100,000 views and this one only gets 200? I don't understand. And I just wanted to like figure it out. This is interesting. Kind of feels good, but is it bringing what I want or like, what does this mean? I just didn't get it. And I started doing it more and more, started to get more videos to go viral, seemingly at will, kind of. And then it started bringing other attention and other things where I'm like, this is really interesting. I'm starting to grow my following. And then like reality shows started reaching out. That was weird. So Big Brother, Bachelorette, and a few others. I went through the interview process with like 3 of them, Big Brother, Bachelorette, and a couple others, pretty deep into the process. This is 2021 and 2022. I forget which seasons for which one, but I went deep into the process. All the executive producers, I'm like interviewing like 5, 6 interviews deep. So I was like, this is fun. I don't want to be on TV, but like, I'll do it. Like, sure, this sounds like a bucket list kind of thing. I don't think it's going to hurt me. So I kept going. And then that led to, quite a few people reaching out in the business world asking, how do you do that? How do you get leads and whatever? And then eventually, a very big business coach who I ended up dating for about 3 years reached out and said, hey, can you teach my entrepreneurs how to do what you did? And so I explained to her how I did what I did, and it's like a system. And then she's like, great, can you come train my people? And so then that started that journey of going to retreats and events and masterminds and communities of teaching business owners, entrepreneurs, sales teams, corporate teams on how to build a personal brand, create leads, generate sales, all from social media. So that in a nutshell is like my story arc of a life.
It's huge. It's a big story. And then I love how you gained so much life experience and you're not intimidated by teenagers. So
Yeah.
typically, I love how you exude that confidence and your presence when you have those videos when, let's say, you teach kids, or I can picture you as an awesome coach, maybe training soccer team or something where they would listen to you and they'll respect you. And part of it is because you dealt with such difficult experiences in the military or as a police officer, but you're still easygoing, very approachable. So this is that magical mix of the personality. So let's talk about kids and parenting. So obviously, big shift happened when you got Ellie, and it sounds like you are trying to spend as much time as you can with her, hitting important milestones, being at her rehearsals and school events. Let's talk about the parenting aspect of your life.
Absolutely. That's my favorite part. I never knew how much I would love being a dad until the moment I met Ellie. And to me, that line sounds so funny. I remember the first time someone said, so when I was married at the time, right? And so she was pregnant with Ellie, and someone was like, "Oh, the moment you meet your daughter, it's gonna change." I'm like, "What do you mean meet her? She's right there in her belly right there. I see, like she's right there. She's kicking and whatever." And they're like, "No, no, no. When you meet her," I'm like, I just didn't understand. It didn't click. And I've heard this a lot for a lot of men, a lot of fathers, that it's not, they don't build that strong connection until they meet and hold their kiddo, right? And so the moment Ellie was born and I like lay eyes on her and like hold her, I'm like, oh, I get it. I'm meeting Ellie for the first time, right? Which I don't know if that's a great way of explaining it, but it's when I meet her, like she's her own individual person, her own being. And I'm like, oh, I will let nobody hurt you, little girl. Like you are mine to take care of. And like just such a sense of responsibility and duty to take care of this little thing that without you, will not grow, will not live, will not solve the problems they need in front of them without some kind of guidance, without some kind of coach, without some parents, right? That's the idea of being a parent. And it's funny, I tell my daughter that all the time. I'm your dad first, I'm your friend second. And it's kind of to establish that, hey, I have a job here to make sure that you're taken care of and that I'm preparing you for life. Now, I would love to be your friend on that journey, but I will make sure I provide this information, these skill sets, these behaviors, these traits that I believe are going to serve you well your entire life. So, I just think that, that small distinction is huge in parenting. And I'm your dad or I'm your mom first, and I'm your friend second. Is that's just the mentality I have with it to prepare them for life, for the things that we know they're going to take on because we just took them on and we are taking them on ourselves for the first time as parents. But we know they're going to experience them. What traits and behaviors would I wish I had at that time? So Ellie's 11. What is she gonna be experiencing next? She has middle school next, is like her next
Yeah.
big thing, right? And then, so middle school, and then at that age, all kids are, like, going through puberty and they're, like, growing up, turning into women and men, and, like, just that transition from, like, little kid to teenager. And so that's kind of the phase she's in right now. And so I'm just looking back at my experience and then seeing friends, kids, and whoever of that are in that stage, what is missing, and then how do I provide that for Ellie? How do I prepare her for that? So that's kind of my mentality with parenting. But back to your question, I'm like getting sidetracked here. I get so pumped up whenever I get a question, and I'm like, oh, I love this one. This is so good. So parenting, I can't remember the exact question. I love being a dad more than anything. It is the best like responsibility and the best job I could ever not know that I wanted until like she was a planned baby, right? Like we were trying and we got. And then like even more so, I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Like every stage is so fun. I love when she was like 3 and 4 because she's still super innocent, has the cute little voice, says words, wrong, but like, just cute. But I love this stage right now because she's her own human being and she's got such a personality, and I see where she's learning different traits from friends or from friends' parents or from her coach or from her mom's side or what like, wherever myself. And I just see where or the internet, right? Who's pouring into her brain? I'm seeing where she's forming her foundation. So life as a dad, to answer your question, has been like the best thing I never knew I wanted until I was it. So yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful answer. Sounds cheesy, but so true.
Oh, it's just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's just my life. So it's the truth. I look back. Yeah, I want to be a dad, but it's kind of like that's the next step. It's kind of just like, yeah, you have a girlfriend, you get married, you get a house, you have a baby, you have another baby, like just kind of following this imaginary made up pressure, I guess you can call it, or societal norm, or it's just the conversation that people have because it's the conversation they know, because it's what conversation was brought to them from people around them, above them, and like their parents, their siblings, their friends, the people at their college or school. It's just like, for some reason, it's a structured path that people follow. And so sometimes people make decisions and react and just do because that's what you do next, right? I know I was kind of in that mentality of like, well, I guess a baby's next, right? Like we're ready, we're financially stable, we have these, jobs, and we're responsible, and like we're ready, and we want one, I guess. So like I had her, I was 24 when I had Ellie, right? That is young. Like looking at it now, 24 is a baby to have a baby.
Yes.
But like I say that, and at the same time, like we're absolutely thriving as a father daughter, and I wouldn't change it. And people have kids at 24 all the time. And back in the 90s, we'd have 3 kids by 27 or whatever. Like, but again, that story right there is exactly like the societal pressure or norm, or just, well, that's just what people do. So I guess we'll just do that. I'm not sure the point I'm making here. I think other than just thinking for yourself, which is kind of really what I instill in Ellie, is make your own decisions, listen to all the data, listen to all the information, make an informed decision based off of what you know and what you know to be true and right for you.
Yes, and let's break a little bit the societal norm or that group think. I know in a lot of your content, you remind people you have nothing to lose, go for your dreams, right? And another one that was really powerful is about your kid is an adult, they're just going through that kid stage. You have X amount of time for this cuddles and hand holding and all of it. So let's wake people up a little bit with realizing that wake up from this narrative of just, go to college, get a job, and enjoy and savor the time that you have, and realize that your child is an independent person with their own personality. How did you even phrase it? I'm trying to remember. It was so elegant.
Yeah, so for that part, there's a video where the text on screen was, someone said, for the majority of your life, you will know your children as adults. They're only small for a short while. This phase feels endless, but it's actually the shortest one. So it's a gentle yet strong reminder that it's kind of a combination of things. If you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, if you're feeling like there's so much going on, career, business, your family, children, health, finances, relationship, whatever is consuming your brain right now, it is distracting you from something that is very likely more important to you, your kids and your family. And so your kiddos, they're only small for a short while. They're only little. Ellie's 11. As soon as she hits like 13, 14, she's basically becoming the woman, adult that I will know for the next however many years that I live. Call it 50 more years. So I will know her as an adult for 50 years and her as a child for 13, 14, 15 years. So it is very small window that we know them as kids, and they have this childlike wonder, and they have this sense of wanting to learn, even if they might feel frustrated and push back on you as a kiddo at sometimes. So it's a reminder, if you ever get frustrated, or if you have those moments where you're like, God, she won't listen, or this, or any level of frustration, it's just a reminder that it's for a short while, but you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss these things. Even like thinking about my house here. I'm like picking up some slime and some toys or whatever it is, like her plate that she left somewhere, like for food. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss this. We didn't have a volleyball tournament the last 2 weekends, and before this, we had volleyball and gymnastics every weekend for like, I don't know, 7 weeks or something, 8 weeks. And I'm like, I miss it. I'm like, those are long tournaments. Some of them are 3 days long, bleachers all day, like you're eating out of a lunch sack. But she has so much fun, and she's only going to be this age one time, and then she's an adult forever and doing her own life. It's just a reminder to zoom out and really recognize this isn't going to last for a long time. You're in the good old days, as some of those videos say. Cherish it, lean in, be super present. Get off your phone. Go play with your kids. Go listen to their stories. I don't care how bad their stories are. Go listen to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they're terrible storytellers sometimes, but they need more reps on how to tell a story without you coaching them every time. I tend to overcoach and over teach. She tells me that. She's like, "Dad, I know you're explaining it again." So I tend to over explain, and I recognize that. Thank you, Ellie. And I try to improve. Anyways, it's just making those memories, just having that time and caring about what they care about and showing them how to care for others and then the traits you want them to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I saw something else in your content or in your on your podcast where you it's a wise position where you have high expectations but provide a lot of support. And I recently saw research study about the most successful parents. It's not the ones who are physically present all the time or, those gentle parents or very strict parents. The bottom line, so that balance where you have high standards but also support your child. And it
Yeah,
sounds like you're adopting this approach.
for sure. Kind of in all areas. So, I do believe that humans are either growing or they're declining, right? There is no neutral. So you're either attempting to get better or improve in any area of your life, right? Academically, if you're a kiddo because you're at school and that's what you're pushed to do unless you're homeschooled and you're taught differently, which that's a whole nother topic. But you're either growing yourself in personally, financially, physically, relationally, career, growing a business, whatever the thing you're focusing on is what's going to grow. So if you're focusing on negative things, it's going to grow that direction down. If you're focusing on positive things and being, excellent in all that you do, it's going to grow that direction. So the high standards, high support kind of methodology is humans like structure. They like to be needed, right? Now, some people more than others, men more than women, maybe, or for different categories, women more than men in certain things. But in general, humans like structure. They like to be needed. They like to grow. It feels good to expand what you're good at and to improve what you're weak at. It feels good. That's winning, right? It's another word I would call it is winning. Doesn't mean you're beating somebody. It can be, but everyone can win. In the game of life, everybody can win. Now, we can go deep on money stuff. Just because you make money does not mean someone else is losing money. The financial abundance topic is a whole different thing that we could go deep on, and I would love that. That's fine. But in the parenting world, high standards, the room will be clean. You will come home and do these things. This is what's going to happen. If you're going to play a sport, we're going to try to be better at the sport. Just 1% better every single day. Hey, on your volleyball, let's work on your serving. I'm going to put you on a team that has other kids who have philosophies built to them with their parents on improving and getting better. Yes, have fun. Absolutely. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. You can make anything hard fun if you just make it fun. And if everyone has that mentality, building a business can be hard. And it is hard. It's also so fun if you're like grateful that you get the ability to build a business. It's great. You're grateful that you get to go practice volleyball as a kiddo and you get to have these hard, drills, right? We gotta set the ball into a bucket that's only this big. This is so hard. I'm like, that's so cool. You get to aim for a small target, aim small, miss small. You're going to like be so excellent. You got one of them in there. Congratulations. That's amazing. Great work. You're improving. And I've just seen nothing else bring so much joy to a person, especially even Ellie. For specific examples, she wanted to make the gymnastics team because she wanted to be better at gymnastics. And she wanted to make this team that was competitive. She had to have her splits down in all three directions, left leg front, right leg front, and then sideways or, lateral. And then she had to have 30 V-ups in a row, unbroken. There's these standards she had to do. And they were hard, physically hard to do. Not so much skill, much more physical to make sure that her body was physically ready to endure the rigor of this more competitive team. She got her splits down in under 30 days. She had a deadline. So mind you, she had a deadline of when she had to get this done And so it was like we had to start every night. So I stretched with her every night. I worked on my splits every night for 30 days. Until she got it. I was on Zoom with her or FaceTime when she was at her mom's house every night, whenever I could, until she got her splits down in under 30 days, all three directions. She was already pretty close, but 30 days done. And then the next huge milestone was a pull up, right? Had to have at least one strict pull up, unassisted, dead arm hang to chin above bar, full pull up. And she got it. Took her 6 months to get it. And she worked at it 2 to 5 days per week of like high effort strength training, the way you would think about strength training if you know that world. High effort, right? We're doing 3 sets of 8 to 15 with a band. I'm doing negatives with her. I'm holding her feet, you know, doing weighted this and holds and all the things. And she got it in under 6 months, got her first pull up at 8 years old. I have somehow got it on video. Like she's done hundreds and hundreds of pull-ups and like none of them are on video, like none of them except for like one. And it was the day she got it.
Nice.
And so I have that on video, and I'm so grateful I did. And her face and her body and her reactions and her confidence level across everything else she did besides pull-ups was like sky high for so long afterwards. Anyways, I keep talking about the same thing, but high standards, high support, it'll change your life. It'll change your kid's life. It'll be nothing but positivity, but it also holds you to a higher standard. If you're going to hold your kids to a high standard, it requires you to be on the same level. So in order to up-level people around you that you love, you need to up-level yourself. You need to raise your standards because they're not going to do what you tell them to do. They're going to do what you say. And so if you're not doing the thing that you want them to be, if you're not the person you want them to be, if you're not kind, caring, resilient, brave, courageous, whatever behaviors you want to instill in your kiddos, if you are not those things, they are not going to pick it up. They're not going to do what you say. You got to show examples and be the example, be the thing you want them to be. So that requires you to personally up-level everything in your life, which requires you to be around people who are up-leveling their life, because it becomes so much more difficult if you are the only one growing in your sphere. If your spouse is not growing with you, if they're like a Debbie Downer, if they're negative Nancy, they're just like, nah, I'm just content in this and that. It's okay to be content with where you're at in life as far as like, I'm happy, but let's just improve on anything. Doesn't need to be like financially, like grow a business. It could be in just the standards we have at home, how clean we keep it, keeping the house up, painting maintenance, whatever, like really anything, career, physical, relate, all the things, improving, just the growth mindset. And it becomes easier when you have people around you who are on that same journey and have that same desire backed with action. Because sure, everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to be amazing, but it's the combination of the desire backed with action, and then like the next level would be the strategy and how you're doing it and how you're trying to execute on those things. So then it's not just like wishing and trying to go in some direction, but you're kind of going blind. It's having a strategy and a path and then executing the strategy. That's when you actually cross finish lines and you hit goals and you like just raise the bar on all things. Anyways, I get pumped up about it.
For sure. And it sounds like Tony Robbins got some competition.
No, he's great. Tony's amazing. Yeah.
Well, have you actually done any of his trainings?
I've been on a few of the calls, like even the one that just happened a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, the free virtual one. I watched a couple of the days of it. Yeah, and he's accurate. He's great.
Yeah. So let's talk about what practical actions you took. So when you were a police officer and then pursued your MBA, obviously it's a very busy time. And then as a police officer, I believe you had probably 10-hour shifts, very intense, lots of calls. You have a young kid. What practical steps did you take to free up time or change your career? And I'm sure you tried a lot of things that some worked out, some didn't, and it could be very disappointing and disheartening when things are not working out, especially as a man who probably is wired to provide and protect. So what was your journey there, and what advice can you give to other men who recognize, I want to grow, I feel very busy, I'm drowning, I'm exhausted, but I want to be intentional with my family and with my kids?
What a great question. So, number one, I would want them to recognize that they want to grow. Even like the last line you said of the guys who want to grow, the fathers, this could be mothers, it could be anybody who wants to grow, right? The human who wants to improve themselves. But for the father specifically, it'll apply to everybody. Recognizing you want to do that is like number one. And then I think doing a self audit on your current situation is the only way you're going to know if you're going to improve or decline your current situation, or to identify the areas of your life that need improvement, right? So there's a community group I have where we do things just like this, where we have like a scorecard on your life to identify which area of your life is most drowning, right? Of where it needs the most attention now, right? So you can improve certain areas of your life with, I'll call them sprints of a season, right? It can be a 1 week sprint, a 90-day sprint, 30 days. It could be a full year, depending on what it is. But it is the area that you focus on, because anything you focus on is going to grow, improve, or just be front of mind. It's gonna mold and move. So we have to identify what you need to focus on first, and we want to focus on the thing that has the biggest leverage, meaning what is the biggest hole in your bucket right now, right? We need to fill that hole as best we can. Yes, there's other holes that are happening. Let's put those on kind of maintenance mode. Don't let things crumble around you. But we need to focus on what is causing the most pain, because that is top of mind, and that is not going to, nothing else will improve, right? You can't be winning in one area and losing in another. People do that all the time, but it's a recipe for burnout, your family breaking, your business breaking, your health breaking. Something is going to break if you're focused on one area forever. And usually for men, you kind of nailed it with, they're built to protect and to provide and to lead and to squash their emotions down until the day they die. They're there to be the rock of the family, which is a dutiful and courageous and amazing thing to do. Doesn't mean we can't be happy and be great and excel in other areas. We can do both without burning our brains and our hearts and our bodies to the ground. There is a way. And so identifying where there's the biggest leak in your bucket, I would say, is number one. And then coming up with that strategy on how to fix that hole. Now, to your question of practical things they can do. So, and how I did it with Ellie, police. I was staying on top of my fitness. I was going to school. I was flipping houses at the time. I remember exactly that time. I was so locked in, so focused, because it would not work if I was not. And I'll tell you, what's that saying of, if you want something done, give it to the busiest
Busy
person you know?
person. Yes. Yes.
It's so funny how efficient and how good I get when I get busy. I don't get busier as in like I have no time for myself. I actually have more time. I actually have more intentional time in each category in my life when there's no other option, right? And that might sound scary to someone. You have no other option, like backs against the wall. Like that visual is helpful, and like your back's against the wall, but that messaging of back against the wall means like you're stuck. It means you don't want to be there. It means no, this is a wall that I created because I took more on in my life that is a priority, that is fixing the holes in my bucket, that I want to grow, and I cut everything else out. This wall that is behind my back, this metaphorical wall, is the wall that I want. And so that same kind of picture, or if I'm saying that correctly, it's like the standards. What do I want to instill in my kids? What kind of life do I want for myself and my spouse? What do I want to instill in them? Who do I want to be? That is the metaphorical wall that I build behind me that my back's against, and I will not go that way. The busier I got, meaning the more things I did to create that wall behind me that I will not go below, or the standard I will not drop below, the more efficient I had to become. Otherwise, the standard would fall. And I have never been like happier and more efficient and have more time and like less stress than when everything is up leveled to those things. And you're just required to. You, there's small little practical things, right? And you probably already know the answer. If whoever's listening to this right now, I'm looking at you right in the eye, sir, ma'am, you know the answer to the problem you have. And you know one thing you could do every single day that'll get you closer to your goal. But right now you're not doing it. You have to ask yourself why. Is it the wrong goal? Are you surrounded by the wrong people? Is there something else that is burning you inside that you're not addressing right now? Why? You know the answer. You know what you could do every single day. And this saying right here is from Danelle, my partner of 3 years and business coach. And it's a great line. So if any of her people are hearing this, which I hope they do, because it's a gentle reminder, you know what you can do to solve your problem. You know what you can do every single day to solve that problem, but you still haven't done it. Why? It is the root of everything. You want your kids to be like this. You want your body to look like this. You want your bank account to look like this. You want. Great. Let's put up that metaphorical wall behind you, your standards, remind you. And the only answer and the only way you can survive, I don't like that word, survive. That's like negative. It's like, oh, I have to be here. Like, help me. Like, no, you get to do this. It's coming from a place of gratitude. It's coming from a place of like, I get to experience life. I get to do this. I get to go to the gym today. I get to eat this food today. I get to try this out in my business. I get to help my daughter do these things. I get to go to this 3-day tournament that's 3 hours away and sit on a bench that's hard as all get out and hurts my back. Like, but even then, there's ways to fix it. So the point is, I get pumped up. The point is, how do fathers and people practically find the time and solution? You got to do a self-audit. You got to find the holes in your bucket. You have to relentlessly say no and cut other things out. You are wasting time. Who's watching this right now, if you guys pull your phone out and open up your settings, and I want you to look at your screen time. Where is your time on your phone right now? How often do you have Facebook open, Instagram open, TikTok, your text messaging app, your email, and the internet? How many hours a day does that number say? I want you to pull it out and write it down. I want you to put that on a sticky note on your mirror in your bathroom. I want you to put it on a sticky note on the door that you leave out to drive your kids to school or to the bus or whatever that morning routine looks like. How many hours are you spending on your phone? Just write it down. I'm not asking you to change it. Just write it down and see if it changes your life. That's one little instance. I get fired up. Next question.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I love it because it does remind us to be more intentional. When you mentioned how you were so busy and so efficient, I noticed that when my husband and I were in a graduate school, in an MBA program, the most efficient MBA students were the ones with kids because they couldn't stay late. They literally had so little time for everything that they needed to get it done and be out and, pick up their kids from school or whatever next task they had. And you're absolutely right. It's high intensity life. And sometimes there's a curveball where you get sick, or again, some of my friends may break a leg when they are running on fumes all the time and kind of so efficient that they have no leisure, no buffer, that life forces them to slow down. And one person literally broke their leg. But at the same time, it's nice to find that balance. And when you also talked about relationships, even mentioned the burner, there's the 4 burner theory about career, health, relationships. And what was the last one? There was something,
Family?
the major.
Mental? I don't know.
Major, maybe spirituality, something with the major areas of life. And it's very hard to keep them all burning. And typically the most successful people are hyper focused on one or two, and let their family, fall apart, or relationships, and it's hard to be effective and efficient in all of them?
Family, friends, health, and work.
Probably yes.
I was just trying to Google it. Yeah, family, friends, health, and work is what good old AI says.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And you said something that I wanted to just poke on real fast is that the people who are most efficient, the parents in your MBA class you talked about, they doesn't have the option, right, to waste doing coursework or whatever. They go because the bus is coming. I got to pick up my kids. Like you have to, kind of thing. And then and until life hits them, they break a leg. It was the example you gave of somebody, and like because they're burning the candle at both ends or whatever's going on. So and so that's a prime example of what scares people. I believe is that they think that's what's going to happen, and that when I say that whole rant I had on having the metaphorical wall behind you, that raising the standard, being efficient, and raising the bar. That means in every area of your life. Now, there are a lot of business coaches out there and performance coaches and life coaches, really business coaches, who are going to push, like you just said, in one category. We are going to raise your bank account. We're going to earn. You're the man of the family. You're the breadwinner. You're the woman, whoever it is that's earning the money. You got to earn or your family's going to be sacrificed, right? This is terrible. We got to, at all costs, we're going to make money. And they make money. They know this is like it's not terribly difficult to make money. The idea and strategy behind it is it's really simple. It's just math. Like I love that topic. But to be able to do that without letting the other three burners in this example go to waste or to burn down, that is where most people fail. What most people miss. Most people have the challenges of like they're handling two or three or one of the burners, and then one, two, or three, or all four end up burning down because it all comes crumbling down. That is the first thing I see people let go. It's a combination, and they're intertwined. Is their physical health and sleep,
Hmm.
and I do not miss my workouts. I don't miss any, that is. Like I work out all the time. I work out 5-6 days a week, varying levels of intensity, strength training, high intensity interval workouts, cardio, very much like hybrid athlete as far as like where you're, hitting all the areas. And it's all based on like longevity protocols, all based on the science of you got to have a high VO2 max, high grip strength, leg strength has to be high, check all your blood work, all these things, right? Body fat percentages to make sure you're within a range that sets you up to live long, right? And live well is like number one. Sleep should not go. If something is breaking apart in someone's life and one of the burners is burning down or whatever, I see sleep is kind of the first one to go. And that is literally the one thing you should not let go.
Yes.
It is the one thing I will not compromise on. I will not go to the gym. I will miss a workout if it means I get my quality sleep and appropriate amount of time in sleep. It is the only spot that your body and your brain repairs itself from the rigors and stressors of life. When you're in REM sleep for about an hour and a half to 2 hours per night during your 8-hour cycle, that is clearing out all the toxins in your brain. That is that's what REM sleep does. When you're in deep sleep, SWS, deep wave sleep, that is when it clears out the toxins and the stressors and does all the repairing in your body physically, right? All the muscles, the bones, the tendons, the organs. And that's for about 1.5 hours, 2 hours per night. We're trying to, the goal is, I believe, is 2 hours per night per category. So 4 hours of restorative sleep. That can't go. It can. And there's a study that's out that shares the more you're out of that rhythm and say you're getting 6 hours of sleep and your body starts to become accustomed to that 6 hours sleep and it loses the ability to recognize that it's not getting enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the first few nights you're like, I'm tired. Like, oh, the next few days you're like, I'm not recovered yet. And your body's telling you it's a check engine light blaring at you. We're not recovered yet. And after, I don't know how long, it's pretty quick. I would say a week, if I recall the information correctly. It's like fairly fast that your body loses the ability to recognize that blinking light. That check engine light starts to be quieter and quieter, but the necessity of that blinking light and check engine light is still at its highest level of like needs your attention, but it becomes quieter and quieter, and your body doesn't hear it anymore, but it still needs the attention. And so I think that's the one thing that I see entrepreneurs, parents, the people in career. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but they let go first is sleep because they think they need more time. But no, they need to spend their time on the right things as opposed to the wrong things.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I interviewed David Creswell. He's the neuroscientist at Carnegie Mellon University, and he talked about the importance of sleep. So you're absolutely right that they ran many studies, and even with students, for example, their GPA declines if they are not getting enough amount of sleep. So you're absolutely right. This is essential, and especially parents with newborns, of course, it's very hard. It's very difficult. But then
Right.
at least later prioritize sleep and restore it will be really important.
That's huge. Yeah, I did a mastermind with Luisa Nicola from Neuroathletics. She's she's a neuroscientist. She's done, I don't know, 7,000 brain scans. She's worked with NBA athletes and NFL people and NASCAR drivers and all the things, right? So I went through a course with her. Uh, so I'm a certified neuroathletics coach, and that topic of all the things you just said it's so even as a police officer before all this, if someone has a lack of sleep, it is, and I forget the numbers now. It's been too long. I want to say if you're at like 4 hours or 5 hours of sleep, it's the equivalent to having, oh, I forget. I'm gonna butcher it. Like probably 3 drinks of alcohol.
Yeah, yeah,
Some number, right? But you're definitely impaired with a lack of sleep. And the symptoms that I see as like the officer looking at somebody, I cannot probably tell the difference, right?
yeah.
Yeah, anyways, there's stories there, but that's real.
Yes,
It's real.
yes. So when you reflect, when you look at your life, adult life, when do you think, and in which periods have you grown the most? And I'm sure each milestone is significant and huge. Being deployed, huge experience. Being a police officer, huge experience. Even going to an MBA program while you have a young child is a huge experience. But then the most recent social media career, as well as some of the entrepreneurial pursuits, if you pinpoint at, look at your growth, is there a certain season that expanded you the most?
What a brilliant question. Looking at your life, what made you grow the most? And the first thing that comes to mind is doing hard things. Every time I've done something that is difficult or scary, or potentially I'm biting off more than I think I can chew. It's not more than I can chew. But I only learned that after the fact. So in the moment, I'm like, I just kind of take that leap. You go for it. You take the bite that's bigger than you can chew, right? Kind of, I'm trying to find the analogy that clicks with whoever's listening to this. It's that leap of faith. It's that scary, I'm scared, but I'm still going to do it anyways kind of moment. MBA. So mind you, I have a master's in business. I almost didn't graduate high school.
Yes.
I got a master's in business at University of Washington, which is like a top 20, I don't know, it's a great business school, right? I forget where it's at. It's not easy. It's not that hard. Also. So like I say that to not scare anybody. It's not that hard. It's actually like way easier. Like I say MBA, but also like anything that's quote unquote hard is what I'm getting at here is easier than you think. I think the anticipation and the wonder and the unknown is what makes it super scary. I remember the first time I arrested somebody as a police officer. I didn't know what I was like. I was trained. So, I had the military behind me for 6 years. I did 16 weeks of the police academy where we're doing all the things, and that felt like normal. Like the military, just like, okay, we're doing what I'm doing in the military because I was a police officer in the military as well. So like, but just different world. Military versus like civilian land. It's just a different thing. And every time I've done something hard or scary or that I did not feel like I was ready to do, absolutely grew so much, right? Literally everything. I can't think of what the social media route, just started posting online, and like my friends were seeing it and my coworkers were seeing it and family or whoever, and like maybe 20% of people who didn't know who I was seeing it. I don't know, something, whatever it was. And they're like, "Why are you doing that? What's going on?" Like, I didn't really have that much hate, but like, no hate, but also like, criticism or joking around or like making fun of. I just kept making it because that's what the people who were doing what I wanted to do are doing. I cared more about wanting to achieve this finish line or that goal because I know what it did to what it would do for my family if I could have their schedule, have that amount of income coming in. And that was really all I thought about. Like, I didn't make it much more difficult than that. Like, are they closer to the goal that I want or further away? If they're closer to what I want, I'm going to do what they are doing until I learn otherwise, until I learn it's not what I want, or until I learn it's further from my goal, or I find someone else who's doing it better or in a way that I like more. You'll never know exactly what to do for the goals you want until you, let me rephrase that. You're not going to know exactly what you want until you start heading towards the goals you think you want right now. So I picture in my head a series of, those old game shows where pick a door, any door, 1, 2, or 3, and see what prize you have behind it. Whatever,
Yeah.
there's 1,000 of them. You got to pick a door. Now, people have doors they picked in their head mentally. Everyone right here listening, you have a door in your fitness goals, in your family goals, in your parenting goals, financial goals. You have these goals that you want. Great. And I'll tell you, the goal is, I don't know, 5 to 10 doors past that first door you go into. But you have to go through the first door, the first step of taking action towards your goal. The moment you open door number 3, because you think that's the right strategy towards the goal you want, you open up a door to a hallway of 10 doors. And you're like, and all 10 say they lead to the goal that you want. And you're like, oh, well, now which door? This door makes way more sense. Those doors look terrible. That door looks good. And you have to go through that door, AKA take action, massive action towards the thing that you want. And only as you go through these doors, or does the goal become clearer on what you actually want. But you'll never know exactly what you want until you start going through doors. The going piece, the doer, the executing, the taking action, that is the piece that I see humans miss, or maybe not recognize the importance of.
Mm-hmm.
They have these goals, they have these dreams, these wishes. Those are fine and dandy. Take one step every day towards that goal. Write down what that step looks like. What does that mean? I want to be a content creator and make money from social media so I can have extra money to go on an extra trip. Great. I freaking love that. You can do it. You can make a lot of money even with a low follower count if you have an audience that someone wants, right?
Right.
What do I got to do? What do you think you have to do? Probably post some videos. You're right. I don't know what to post. Anything on whatever you love. Just start. I want to lose weight. What do you think you should do? I should go to the gym. Great. Go do that. What should I do at the gym? I don't know. Go lift some weights, I guess. Which ones? I don't know. Any of them, all of them. Just start. And you're going to start, if you care about it, you're going to start, oh, I should do this. My shoulders hurt. Maybe I'll do legs today. I should probably run. My heart hasn't been pumped up in a while. I should probably do some cardio. Great. Like, you get better at the action taking and you become more fine-tuned. Same with those goals you take, going through those doors. The visual piece helps me out. You got to go through door number 1 before you can look at door number 10. You just got to start taking action. And that's the thing people don't do. And that's what I relentlessly do, is take action, just do. You were like, hey, do you want to be on a podcast? I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. What you got? What do you do? Like, that's it. I didn't even read what you did. I was just like, yep, sure. I love this, right? I'll definitely vet before I there's times where I've said yes, like, just my default is yes.
Yeah.
To opportunity that I think is going to help me get closer to my goals. I will then vet and double check. It's the whole ready, fire, aim. Like, is it closer? Yes or no? Yes, go. And then adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So anyways.
I love some of that military training and reference. I sense a bit of Grant Cardone. I don't know if you did real estate, you probably are familiar with him. Massive action, take it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and then that door visual. Reminded me a little bit of a Black Matter movie. Have you seen it?
I have not. No.
Very powerful. That there are different realities. Basically, you enter the corridor and
Is
experience
that
different.
the cube, the box where they go
Yeah,
into?
I think so.
Maybe there's some movies that are similar in
Yeah.
yeah. It's even like yeah. Anyways, I love movies. I go off on those too.
Let's keep going because I would love to hear more about your thoughts. You mentioned finance a few times, and that's one of your favorite topics. Obviously, it sounds like now you were able to create life with more flexibility where you have time to work out, where you have time to spend time with the important people in your life, do more fun, fulfilling projects. And it took effort, it took intentionality. As you said, first recognize the goal, recognize where you're lacking things and where you want to be, and then start opening doors, taking actions, and things will start showing up in your radar, right?
Mhm.
You may not know how you will reach it, but you will at least try, test, and see and pivot. So, would you say the last season, maybe when you became a social media creator, became the most lucrative for you? Let's unpack it a little bit with financial growth and your mindset expansion.
Yeah. What'd you say at the beginning of that was good? Yes. So what social media has done in training entrepreneurs and doing Danelle with retreats and masterminds and communities and business coaching stuff, it has opened up my eyes and my financial and business acumen to the different ways you can make money uh, and the way that different ways that people do make money. So I think the most lucrative thing for my life it has been recently now uh, because of who I see doing what. The more so like the it's so like layered and I'll share it real fast is that the moment so for me, I'll share my experience. The moment I could see behind the curtains of all these business people doing their businesses, I see how much money they make. I see the offers they have. I see the businesses they run, the teams they have, the sizes, and just like how it runs. And then I see who they are as a human. I see how they interact, how they grew up. Like I just learned who they are. And I recognize I see people who have built businesses, have careers, families that are way closer to the what I'm aiming for and they're not seemingly any smarter than me. You know what I mean? Or call it what you want. They're not anything special, right? We're all special, but they're not like some magical being that is somehow got a secret or the thing you think they're doing. Yeah, they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're they figured out how to organize their day and they work on things that are meaningful and they use their time for high leveraged activities. You know, yep, that's what they do. They have a lot of sales calls and they talk to a lot of people and keep relationships with a lot of humans and treat them with kindness and care and bring them value. Yep, that's what they do. they they work every day and they don't have any wasted time on activities that are not helping them reach a goal in any of their areas of life, right? Yep. They're not soaking up social media, watching movies. Yep. They're going to the gym, lifting weights because they know it helps their brain and it helps their body last a long time. So they want to be good parents and spouses and have a better brain to be sharper for work. Yep. They get their sleep and they eat well and they drink water. Yep. Like they're just doing the things that we know they're doing. Now, are they perfect in it? No, of course not. Are they doing it every single day? No, of course not. They're still humans. They make mistakes. They fail all the time. I fail all the time. I do all kinds of things where I fail. And to your question earlier, that's like some of my areas of biggest growth is because I do and I execute and I will fail 2, 3, 4, 5, even more times before someone makes a decision to act on one goal, let alone fail. And so I think that is the superpower of people in any area that's excelling. They just take action and are okay with failing. I have like 3,000 videos on social media. I have so many that are quote unquote flops that do terrible compared to the average or the median, the mean, whatever. Terrible. Okay, on to the next, like whatever. Like that's part of that you knew it was going to happen, and then it happened, and now you're scared of it. Why? You knew it was going to happen. Are you going to have good days in the gym and bad days? Yes. Great. Go start doing it. Oh, you're having a bad day? Didn't you say that was going to happen? Yeah, but it's still hard. Okay. You said it was part of the plan. Stick to the plan. Same with building business. Same with being a parent. Same with anything that you do. So I would say the biggest financial, I forget the word to use, but growth and success has absolutely been recently because I've seen people who are making 7, 8, 9 figures, 10-figure business. I know a couple, not like super personal by any means, and I just see how they operate. And I see people who are doing that who are operating in a way that I do not want to operate like,
Hmm.
right? I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad I could see behind the curtains a little bit. Nope. I don't want to do it like that. And I try to recognize like why and how their life is that way or the systems they have or lack thereof or team or whatever, or even just like the business they have. Anyways, the point is to your question, yeah, I think recently has been the most financially successful in every category of life and just the opportunity and just recognizing how much you can make and who's making it and you're smarter than people who are making it, but they're I don't know what the I hate using the word dumb. I think people who like you're probably so smart that it's ruining your chances because you're overthinking things so much. You're trying to logically think. I'm a very logical thinker. MBA, I love numbers, finance, accounting, investing, risk mitigation. I was a cop in military. Like I safe, secure, conservative, like protect everything. But you have to like go for it. You have to like take action. Uh, Otherwise, your brain's gonna get in the way. You have to be okay with failing. Anyways,
Yeah, for
yes.
sure. Failing forward, the more you fail, so you said it could be a numbers game. So if you fail 10 times, you may win one time. I love Rich Dad Poor Dad book, how he
Yeah.
shared the story of his biological dad who waited till retirement, invested in one franchising business that flopped, and that was a huge disaster. He lost all his money. Versus when you start building business when you're younger, it's painful to fail, it's painful to lose, but eventually you have more leverage, more time to catch up and actually be successful.
If you knew you were gonna fail, you had to fail 8 times, 10 times before you hit the one that works. You knew you had to fail 10 times. You would take if it was like a crystal ball, you would take action so fast, and you would try to basically not try to fail, but you'd go be okay with failing 10 times in a row as fast as you possibly can. Just like in sales world, if you're in insurance, if you're in auto sale, if whatever, any sales, software sales, out of 100 people that you get on the phone, let's say, or in person, you know you're going to get only so many yeses. Your industry average, your all-time average, say it's 30%, 40% close rate, which is probably about right. If you have good quality leads and a good offer and all the things, like there's a lot of details there I love on. 30, 40% close rate. Amazing. You're getting 60 or 70 no's. It shouldn't, so those don't hurt you emotionally or personally. You're like, great, this is part of the plan. Next, treat everyone with kindness and care, but like, great, you're the wrong person. I can't help you as much as I thought I could. No worries. Have a great day. Next, boom, there it is, the one of the 30. Oh, nope, no, there it is, one of the 30. So you would just take action faster. And people know, it's funny, they already know they're going to fail. And it's okay to have failures and mistakes and challenges and hardships along the way of any goal you're trying to make or hit. They know what's going to happen, the hard part. But then when the hard part happens, it's like overwhelming, all consuming. I failed, and they let it get to them so much that they just stop. Or the thought of that challenge coming prevents them from even starting.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
so you see, Mike, sorry for interrupting you, but
that's okay.
it could be bankruptcy, so the
Sure.
failure could be so massive that they don't want to be bankrupt, or they don't want to end up homeless, or they don't want to have a complete health collapse. which if again, you mentioned that you have some experience with protecting and making sure that the
Can I say
loss
one
is not massive,
Can I say
right?
one thing? Can I say one thing on that before I
Yeah,
forget? You said bankruptcy or going homeless or whatever. So you're thinking worst case scenario. And here's a activity I have any of my clients do or who are in my groups is think of the worst case scenario. Think it through. Let's play it out. What is the worst case scenario if you try to go to the gym and try to lose weight and try to eat better? What's the worst case? Let's say you want to start a business. What is the worst case? Bankruptcy? What is that? What actually practically happens in that scenario? Where are you living? What are you eating? What is your day to day like? The worst case scenario for every single person listening to this is you can just do what you're doing right now. You already have the skill sets, the knowledge, the network, the connections, the whatever. I could always go back and be a police officer. I know how much money they make. I could always go back and do this job because I did it for this many years. Your fallback is what you're doing right now. That is your baseline, your new baseline. You can never go below that because you've shown and your brain believes it. If you're not thinking with confidence and self-esteem, you know you can do what you're doing right now. That is your baseline. That is your worst case scenario, is staying right where you're at. It's only up from there. Can you fail? Yep. But you can always go back to what you're doing. That's a nice safety net.
yeah,
Just do what you're doing.
yeah.
Anyways,
Unless AI takes away some of the jobs.
but even then, so
Yeah.
then it's focusing on, instead of just trying to build something, build the skill set. That is one thing I've learned. That financial question you had a minute ago, I would spend all the time going through the hard thing that is building a skill set that is irreplaceable or super needed right now in a season. And as opposed to trying to go build just a business out of nothing, I would go buy a business out of nothing. I would do that first. But again, another topic. A skill set you can learn for free to very, very cheap. Go learn a skill set that is in super high demand that pays more than what you're doing right now. Right? There's even, what was that? There's someone, I forget who it was, a long time ago. If you're working as in retail and you're making minimum wage, right? Let's say you're making $20 an hour doing whatever job. You could take a course that I forget how much it costs, $1,500. So you gotta figure it out, use a credit card, save up $1,500 to be a phlebotomist, a certification course. You might be weird to draw blood and whatever, but if you hate where you're at financially more than you care about figuring out a skill set like phlebotomy, and they earn $28 an hour all over the United States, you just increased your income. What is that, by 40%? Is that right, math? I don't know, $8 an hour. That's a huge jump in your financial situation. 40%, if that's right. Please be my math. I can't think right now. 10% would be 40%. That's huge. Just to go take a 1 week or 2 week course. And so in 2 weeks, you can increase your income producing potential by 40%. Don't like phlebotomy? I understand why. That's fine. Go find another skill that you can go buy or learn for free that has immediate openings that can increase your income 10, 20, 50, 100%. That's the idea of getting an MBA. That was why I did
Yeah.
an MBA. I want to make more money. I want to have a better schedule so I can be with my daughter more. I want to spend more time with her and have more money. That was all I wanted to do. And that was the best path in front of me that would get me there the fastest. So I
Yeah.
did it
Love it. And I assume you're teaching these principles to your daughter as well.
every day. I just through action, through moments where they arise. I like to, for the dads and moms out there, I will always spend time on a life lesson the moment it is relevant. In that moment, there was when Ellie was little, when she was 6, I think, going to gymnastics practice, and we were a little bit late because of yours truly here. It was me. Uh, and she bolted from the car in the parking lot to the sidewalk going through the parking lot, and I saw that she was gonna do it. I could see she was antsy. So I was like, I bet she's gonna make a mistake here. So it was done with safety because I saw there's no cars, but I know she was just gonna do it. And so she did it and like just went. And it's like one of those nightmare scenarios which happen. I'll tell you, as a police officer, I laugh and joke. I'm a little bit desensitized to the world because of the police officer thing, which
Yeah.
it's just, anyways, it's real. Man, watch your kids. And she bolted. So I stopped her right there. And she wanted to go in because she's already 4 minutes late or whatever it was. And I was like, no, we're going to stay here all night until we have this quick conversation that's going to last 30 seconds, 20 seconds. And she wanted to go. And I was like, you're going to miss the whole practice. It takes 30 seconds, Ellie. And so she like took a breath. I was like, okay, what is it? Like, and she stopped. We're in the middle of the road, parking lot. And I just share with her, what did you just do? Walked her through it. Why is that important? What could happen? How big are cars? How big are you? Okay. Do you understand? Do you know why it's important? Do you know why I stopped you here? Okay. Do you know I love you? Absolutely. All right. Let's go crush some gymnastics. Let's get it, girl. And then on her way. Right. So, but I took that 30 seconds. It was way more important than getting to gymnastics 5 minutes late versus 6 minutes late.
Yeah.
Right. Like, she's not mad at me. It'll save her life one day. Yeah.
Yes.
So, in the
Yeah.
moment is most important, I think.
Exactly. You're right that in the moment, a big mistake that many parents make is that something happened during the day and then they address it at the end of the day and child already forgot it. So it's really important to address it in the moment.
I believe so. I think it's more impactful because then there's an emotion tied to it. So when there's an emotion tied to it, your brain will not forget. Your brain will attach memories to emotions, and good, bad, scary, this, that, whatever the emotion is. Those are the things you remember. Something happened of significance, negative or positive, and whatever's attached to that is forever ingrained. And so, yeah, if there's some emotion going on, it's a balance because there's times where emotion can be super high and it's not a great time in that exact second to try to teach or coach because emotions are so high.
Mm-hmm.
So then it becomes like a stair step of talking about managing emotions, managing stress to get them to a space to where you can talk about the thing. But yeah, as soon as reasonably possible after. Again, it's just like I'm trying to like catch everything into like one sentence, which is impossible. But yeah, relatively a big broad brush stroke in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So are you in the most dreaded phase already of Ellie looking at boys or not yet?
No, so what a question. I've asked her it's funny. So I don't want to plant the seed of anything in her head. I think because kids are very impressionable, which is why they are given parents to guide them to make good decisions. There are inherent things I think that they know are good or bad or right or wrong, but there are different areas that are we as parents and we as humans and society and social media and TV shows and movies and music. That's why I'm very particular on like what she watches and hears and listens because your brain is so strong, but it is also so weak and influenceable. Adults for sure, and then kids even more so. And for kids, it's even that much more important because their brain is like solidifying and hardening in their beliefs and their identity is the biggest one is identity, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't want to plant things in her head. That's the whole thing of, oh, you get a boyfriend, you get married, you have a kid, you have a house, you do this. Like, so you're looking at boys. So like that's what you do in middle school, right? Like kind of not that's nope.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's only when it comes up again naturally or organically do I bring it up because it comes up for whatever reason. And I can't remember when or why or what brought it up when she was like 8 or 9. So like third grade ish, third or fourth, where I asked her, do you have a crush with on any boys in the classroom? Right. That's like the first time I've brought up anything boys related. She's, mind you, 8 or 9. So I'm not trying to have her thinking about what boy do I like? Let's go find one, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it came up. And so I asked her that and she's like, no. And I was like, okay, have you ever had a crush on anybody in there that you do like? She's like, and then she said some boy's name from the year prior. And I was like, oh, like I had no idea. Right. And so I just opened up that conversation because my goal in these conversations is not to tell her what to do. I am a guide on her life. Right. Now, in this younger stage, I'm a coach, I'm managing decisions a little bit, but it is with the lens that I know at some point, even now, it's not, she needs to learn how to make her own decisions. She needs to learn how to solve her own problems. So I'm trying to curate scenarios where she can test her skill set in that ability in a safe environment that it's controlled to a degree. It's like bumpers on a bowling alley, right? Like, go throw the ball. Good luck. Okay, I'll save you from the gutter. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that was terrible. Go this way, right? And then sometimes she'll get close, and sometimes she'll nail a strike, like whatever. So like that's like the idea. Uh, in the relationship space, my goal as a dad personally is to have her be comfortable with talking to me openly about anything and everything boys relationship related. It is not to tell her which boys to date or not date. It's not to tell her which things are good for her or bad for her. I'll tell her experiences and I'll share patterns that I see amongst people, myself included, her friends' parents, whatever, in movies, whatever the thing is. I'm like, that's interesting. They had the same thing here. What are your thoughts on that, Ellie? And she shares. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I agree. What would you do? I'll ask her a lot of times, what would you do in that scenario? I was like, that's what I would do too. Yeah. So just kind of, what's the word? Gut checking her where she's at with decision making. So that's
Yeah.
all I've done with the boys' relationship. That's it.
Yeah, but that's how the video, what types of boys to avoid, came
Yeah.
to life. That was
Yeah,
so
exactly.
brilliant.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And did you notice how many movies, if you analyze it from a healthy relationship standpoint, they often have such dysfunctional stories and scenarios, or go for the good guy because at the end he will all work out. And let's say the Mask movie, we recently watched that old movie with
the
Jim
mask.
Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I love it.
where
That's funny.
it's a fun movie, but then when I look at it with a different perspective, from a more typical psychological
Yep.
standpoint, I'm like, well, I'm not sure if this union will actually work out at the end. So it's not going to be long lasting, or they'll need a lot of work to do. Or a lot of movies in general can.
So many movies. So many. Even songs, music, big
Yes.
time. They're catchy. It's they're I think they're written like that because um for a number of reasons, but like it's intriguing. You kind of want to see what happens, knowing that it's like not a great scenario or it's like a train wreck about to happen, or I don't know what their intentions are, but they're trying to make it relatable, I'm sure, or it's funny or a dynamic for a something catastrophe, some catastrophe to happen. So, but if that's all they hear and see when it happens to them in their own life, they think it's normal. Oh,
Hmm.
this is it's boys being boys, or that's just what girls do. It's like, says who? Who the hell told you that? That's not. It can be exactly what you want it to be. Yes, I'm trying to think of the mask specifically.
It was
Him
just
going.
one of the old, because I think at my family we watched Tooth Fairy with Rock Dwayne Johnson, kind of older movies recently for some reason, and they're fun, lighthearted, but at the end, when you see the guy doesn't have a career, he's at the
Mhm.
end of his career with the Tooth Fairy. He was a hockey player. He keeps disappearing from her, which is a huge red flag, and she keeps forgetting. Then she bails him out of jail. If I were a parent giving advice to my daughter, I'm like, avoid this guy, even though he's good looking. His behavior is so flaky, so unreliable. He hasn't figured out what he will do eventually. But in many movies, there's that 1 in a million chance where the guy turns around and becomes the special hero.
Prince Charming. Prince Charming.
Yes.
So something you just said is what So that community that I have, it's business growth and it's also parenting. It's built for life is like the brand, right? So you got to be built for life in all these different areas. You mentioned the four burner theory. I have like 5 pillars, same idea where it's like business, family, relationships, finances, career, life, like all the areas of life that people care about. And even what you just said about watching the Tooth Fairy with The Rock, I haven't watched that one actually. So I'm curious. I don't think she care. I mean, maybe she'll want to watch it. I'll try to maybe watch it this weekend. But uh, how you're saying, oh, he's flaky, he's this, don't do that, don't follow those guys. And I would challenge. I don't know if that's what you said, like exactly whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is for people who had that same experience, I would challenge them to instead of saying, don't go for the guy or the girl that does that, don't do that, don't follow him, don't date that guy or girl, is the things that you see in that movie that he's being flaky, he's a red flag, all the red flags you see, just ask. Here's one idea is ask your daughter or son, if someone was doing that, what would you do? Or how would you feel? Or what do you think they're going to do next? So they're coming to their own conclusion. So if you tell them the answer, it's not going to hit home if they think of it themselves as much, right? It's kind of I mean, it's, you're the parent, and at some age, there is that little friction of, it's like the idea of trying to teach your kids how to drive a stick shift on a car. No, have your friend's dad or mom or whoever teach them how to drive a manual in a car, even though they're telling them the exact same thing you're telling them. Have their sports coach, whoever their coach in sports is, tell them the thing, even though it's the exact same thing. It's why I'll get brought in as a consultant for social media to a company or a brand or influencer marketing team or whatever it is. And I'll tell them what the agency is telling them to do. But because I'm not the agency, they just will listen.
Yes.
Same idea here. And so as the parent, it's not going to land. So if you know it's not going to land by saying do this or don't do that, take it out of like your vocabulary in a sense of like telling them what to do. It's just not going to miss. And so if you're, it's just going to miss. Excuse me, it's not going to land. So if you know it's not going to land, but you want the behavior to change, what should you do then? And one strategy is to ask them what they would do. And then maybe if they give the wrong answer, oh, that's interesting. Why would you do that? And just kind of, you don't even want to lead them to the answer because they know you're doing that. They know you're leading them. It's to your question early on, or your point that I have is I talk to my daughter like an adult, right? Yes, I filter things because she's 11 years old, but I don't sugarcoat things. I don't talk to her like she's a child, quote unquote, for those that are listening only. It's just, and this came from my friend James, he was a cop with me as well. Him and his wife, great. They have 5 kids. I learn from him all the time, both of them, on how they parent. Just the way he thinks is like, I'm like, it's so good. So I take a lot of his things and I apply them, and they're magnificent. So when they're young, he would just correct the kids and speak to them like adults. So the examples were this: a fire truck drives by and the 3-year-old says, "Ooh, car." He's like, "No, it's a fire truck." Or a pickup truck, for example, drives by, "Ooh, car." "No, that's a pickup truck." He would just call it what it is, so they're not learning the wrong thing. "Oh, apple. Actually, this is a pear." Right? Like, or whatever. Like, these are small examples, but the point is you're not placating to them because they're young. Just tell them what it is.
Mhm.
Tell them the facts. Kids are just adults who haven't learned how to articulate their feelings as well because they have fewer reps. They've only been around for so long. They haven't had a chance to have this conversation as many times as you and I. Let them have the conversation. Like, give them the reps before they turn 18 and before they move off after their, whatever they do when they grow up. So anyways, that's like a small example I see a lot of parents do. And I find myself sometimes falling trapped to that, is telling them what to do, as opposed to getting them to come to the conclusion themselves.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. I think it
Yeah.
was a really fun conversation. Really enjoyed it. I loved that we had the chance to explore some of the finances and growth mindset and went back to parenting. That was awesome.
I love it. Yes, all day. This is my life. Being a dad, running business, helping other people grow their business and grow their families and their relationships with their kids. This is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. just
Awesome.
just decide. I love it. Thank you for having me so much.
Thank you.